the only language in the history of mankind to have been on the brink of extinction, only to rise and flourish as a spoken and written language of an entire nation, is the Hebrew language. This unique and ancient language, deeply woven into the cultural tapestry of the Jewish people, today stands synonymous with the nation of Israel. But how did a biblical language, once confined to the sacred scrolls of religious text and academic studies, transform into a vibrant linguistic tool of everyday conversation? How did Hebrew make such a dramatic comeback from near extinction and never being used in daily life to becoming the primary language of Jewish communities across the globe in speech and in writing, and do all that in only a few decades? Our story begins in the biblical era where Jewish people, then commonly referred to as Hebrews, spoke the old biblical form of Hebrew. The language survived as the indigenous language of the Jewish people for over a millennium. But with the destruction of the Second Jewish Temple in Jerusalem by the Romans in year 70 and the subsequent exile of the Jewish people from Israel, the Hebrew language in its spoken form was losing its grip. When the last native Hebrew speakers and most remaining Jews in Israel were expelled, enslaved, or killed by the Roman Emperor Hadrian after losing in the Bar Kokhba revolt in year 135, it seemed like Hebrew as a spoken language was on the brink of extinction. The few Jewish people who were still in Israel at that point used Hebrew for Bible studying, and reading Hebrew was done by many as a form of spiritual defiance against the Romans. So our beloved Hebrew language was not dead, but was also not spoken. In the 2nd century, Aramaic became the everyday language in the Middle East. Hebrew was used in its written form for Torah study and was kept alive very much thanks to Rabbi Judah the Prince, then the leader of the remaining Jewish community in Israel. His passion for keeping Hebrew from dying led him to use it exclusively while editing the Mishnah, a comprehensive compilation of Jewish laws and the basis for the Talmud. While his contribution in keeping Hebrew alive was successful in writing and in use for Torah study, in speech there was no revival for the Hebrew language yet. Many people don't know this, but the revival of modern Hebrew actually started in the 18th century with the Age of Enlightenment. During this period, the study of languages was trending, and Hebrew was not left out of this trend. It was held a special fascination by many Christians who considered it as a classic language as Latin was. This admiration for Hebrew's timeless allure is still evident in symbols of prestigious Ivy League schools incorporating Hebrew. In fact, some of the United States founding fathers, like James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, were proficient in Hebrew. In 1783, secular Jewish intellectuals initiated a Hebrew language periodical known as HaMe'asef, promoting and exhibiting the elegance of the language. They developed a new form of Hebrew, different from the older rabbinic version and more related to a contemporary spoken language. The creation of Hebrew newspapers further propelled this new style, which started to cover various everyday topics, expanding the use of Hebrew beyond religious texts. The actual revival of Hebrew as a spoken language began in the late 19th century with the emergence of the Zionist movement. To cultural Zionists, Hebrew was seen as a means to reconnect with their ancient Jewish ancestry. But this revival was not without its challenges. One significant barrier was Yiddish, the mother tongue of most European Jews. For many Yiddish-speaking Jews, conversing in Hebrew was seen as an impractical and even uncomfortable option. They were so used to Yiddish as their day-to-day language and considered Hebrew as suited for religious texts and prayer. Eliezer ben Yehuda was a key figure in this process. This Jewish lexicographer and newspaper editor was a strong advocate for the use of Hebrew as a spoken language. Born in Lithuania, he moved to Palestine in 1881 and dedicated his life to reviving Hebrew. He was driven by the belief that the Jewish people scattered around the globe needed a common language to unify them, and he believed that language should be Hebrew, the original language of the Jewish people. Ben Yehuda made it a rule to only speak Hebrew, making his son, Ben Zion ben Yehuda, the first native speaker of modern Hebrew. Imagine being a native speaker in a language that no one speaks. He also tirelessly worked on expanding the Hebrew lexicon to accommodate the needs of the modern world. He formed the Vad Halashon, the Language Council, which over time became the Academy of the Hebrew Language, responsible for creating new Hebrew words as needed. Ben Yehuda's vision for Hebrew encountered significant opposition. Orthodox Jews, in particular, were resistant to the idea of secularizing the holy language of their religious texts. Despite this opposition, his vision gradually gained traction, particularly among younger generations and Jewish immigrants in Palestine, who saw in Hebrew a way to create a new shared identity that connected them to their ancient roots while also distinguishing them from their past lives in the diaspora. One turning point in this linguistic struggle came with the second Aliyah, a wave of Jewish immigration to Palestine largely driven by nationalist ideals. The pioneers of this Aliyah, immigration to Israel, were committed to reviving Hebrew as a spoken language and made very clear efforts to use it in all areas of life. A second and ultimate turning point came with the Balfour Declaration in 1917 and the British Mandate in Palestine. The British recognized Hebrew as one of the 3 official languages in Palestine, alongside Arabic and English. This official recognition accelerated the integration of Hebrew into public life. While Ben Yehuda's role in the revival and modernization of the Hebrew language are undeniably significant, it was a collective achievement that required the determination and perseverance of the Jewish community as a whole. It was a shared vision of creating an Israeli identity where Hebrew served as the unifying language binding the people together. Israeli leaders such as Ben-Gurion recognized the importance of Hebrew and actively promoted its use, implementing policies to suppress Yiddish and establishing Hebrew as the dominant language in public life. From schools to youth movements and even compulsory military service embraced Hebrew, solidifying its position as the national language. By the time the State of Israel was established in 1948, Hebrew had firmly taken root as the national language used in government, legal proceedings, and in everyday conversation. The story of the revival of the Hebrew language is a true testament to the power of linguistic and cultural determination. Today, more than a century after the start of its re-establishment, Hebrew is thriving as a living, vibrant language. It is spoken by over 9 million people, most of whom reside in Israel, but many are also in Jewish communities worldwide. The resilience and adaptability of the language continues to shine as new words and terms are created regularly to meet the evolving demands of modern life, technology, science, and culture. The study of Hebrew is not limited to native speakers. Many people worldwide learn Hebrew for religious, historical, or academic reasons. Students of theology, archaeology, and Middle Eastern studies often learn Hebrew to engage with primary source materials. In fact, many universities across the globe offer courses in Hebrew, contributing to the growth of the language outside its native context. Despite its resurgence, the struggle to keep Hebrew alive and relevant is ongoing. Just like any other language, it is influenced by other languages, particularly English, due to globalization. This influence is seen in the infusion of loan words and phrases. However, the Academy of the Hebrew Language is dedicated to promoting the use of Hebrew words over foreign ones and continues the work started by Eliezer Ben Yehuda in expanding and modernizing the Hebrew lexicon. So as you can see, the revival of Hebrew is a fascinating case study in linguistic resurrection. It shines an incredible light on how a language can be revitalized through pure effort, political will, and cultural determination, transforming from a nearly extinct language to a vibrant means of everyday communication. The successful revival of Hebrew stands as a unique testament to the resilience of cultural heritage and the human capacity to reclaim and reinvent linguistic identity. As a born and raised Israeli whose native language is Hebrew, I really hope that you enjoyed this video and found it insightful. And if you did, I would really appreciate if you could hit that like button and share this video with others. Your support really does make a difference. And if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And until next week, take care, shalom, and keep Hebrew alive.